Dale Jackson Show. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the radio station of winners. I don't know how else to put that. The radio station of winners. We've talked to Steve Marshall earlier today. He won the Attorney General's race, destroyed Troy King. Now we have Will Ainsworth, a state representative who is the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor. He joins us, and it's important to point out, Will Ainsworth, let's just be clear about this. Will Ainsworth sought out your vote. The vote of WVNN listeners, the vote of talk radio listeners, the vote of the people. He came on. He wanted to talk to you. He wanted to explain to you who he was and what he was going to do and why he thought he'd be a good person for this job. He campaigned for this. He didn't expect it. He didn't think it was given to him. He didn't think it was a granted. He went out there and he fought for it, and he won. And I'll tell you this. People talk about low turnout, and I know nobody will agree with me on this, but I'll just tell you this. Low turnout is good. You have more engaged people interested in what's happening. That's just my take, but let's bring Will Ainsworth on real quick, give him an opportunity to talk to us. Will, what do you contribute your success to?
Well, Dale Jackson endorsement, the Kingmaker. There you go. So,
pandering, I like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think you want to thank everybody in Alabama, and especially North Alabama. I mean, wow, North Alabama turned out for us in a huge way. I mean, we won a lot of counties up here, 20, 30, in Marshall County, and we got 76% of the vote. In surrounding counties, most of them, we were over 60% of the vote. And so I want to thank all of North Alabama. I mean, for the first time in the history of Alabama, we got a chance to elect a Republican lieutenant governor from the Tennessee Valley, and want to thank everybody for supporting us.
Yeah, I think it's important that you point that out. In North Alabama, you'll have a lieutenant governor. Probably, I mean, there's still some formalities of an election in November, but we know who the favorites are at this point, and an attorney general as well. What do you want to do as attorney general? Now, this is where we go. We're past the Republican primary. Now you got to talk about what you want to do as the lieutenant governor. So I'll ask you that question here this morning. What do you want to do as lieutenant governor? Explain that to the audience.
Yeah, I'll be a lot of things I want to do. A couple of things real quick. Just hit on education, then also on just economic development. On education, I think really three things we've talked about that are passion of mine. First, make sure that kids, no matter where they live in the state, one of the things I've seen in traveling the whole state, all kind of different levels of technology. If we're going to compete in a 21st century economy, just like Huntsville is branded as a smart city and a smart place, we got to make sure our kids have access and availability to technology. How do we do that? With broadband access across the whole state. Then also, a lot of schools, it's kind of sad, don't even have the funds to be able to buy the technology needed for kids just to have basic stuff such as computers. So we want to make sure that they've got that and can compete in a 21st century economy. Second thing is, have voluntary pre-K for any kid that would like to have it. Right now, we're doing a good job in our pre-K program, but there's a lot of kids that can't get into pre-K, or maybe certain areas that don't have pre-K. And so my vision for Alabama is for any child that'd like to have pre-K to have access to it. Why does that matter? Statistically, the data proves that if you can get a kid at an early age, involved and doing well in education, they're going to be more successful in life. And that's going to help our graduation rate. That's going to help people get ready for the workforce. And then probably the biggest crisis I think we've got in education is we don't get people ready for the workforce anymore. We've done a poor job of that. And we got to get people job ready. And we've got a plan to do that called Project Graduation that develops an app that's going to actually list all the jobs within a 60-mile radius of where that student is. And, that's kind of real quick, just our 3 points in education.
Hey, here's what I take from this, and I got to let you go here because I got another guest lined up, but I just want to congratulate you. But here's what I take. You're going to be a far more aggressive lieutenant governor than we've seen in quite some time. Yeah,
no, absolutely. We're going to work hard and, try to those things we laid out, we're going to try to accomplish them. And that's the reason we ran. And so we just want to thank everybody. And thank you, Dale. Appreciate your friendship and appreciate your support and setting the record straight on a lot of issues.
Hey, let's be clear. I was Will Ainsworth before it was cool. Just keep that in mind. I was pro Will Ainsworth before it was cool. Everyone else jumped on the bandwagon. I was there in the beginning.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, right. I really do, man. Thank you. And thanks to all your listeners and voters.
There you go. That's important. Will Ainsworth, thank you very much. Let's bring someone in who's far less cool than I am. Cameron Smith joins us. He's been on vacation, although he seems like he has a cooler life than I do since he's been gallivanting around the globe, and we appreciate him coming back to little old us here in North Alabama. Cameron, what were your takeaways yesterday? What happened here in the great state of Alabama? What went down? What was the message? Is there a theme?
Did you just have that guy with the fiberglass tiger on the radio?
I just did have the guy with the fiberglass tiger on the radio.
Yeah, well, look, the takeaway here is it's up for grabs. I mean, I'd love to tell you a consistent story or theme, but I mean, I think what happened is, Steve Marshall kind of ran a traditional campaign. Troy King, well, he was Troy King. I thought he was a little more like Roy Moore, but I mean, the Roy Moore voters, they have a little more conviction. I mean, they were going to show up for Moore and in a big way, and they did. King didn't have that same benefit. Obviously, kudos to Marshall there. With Ainsworth and Kavanaugh, it was tighter. But I really think this was a grassroots type situation where people don't like their utility bills anyway. The PSC thing isn't the most popular. And Ainsworth was sort of down-home grassroots that I really think appealed to people they like. I think he'll be a good lieutenant governor. And, the interesting one for me is Roby blowing Bobby Bright out of the water.
Absolutely. Hold on, let's take a pause right there. And I want to talk about that race because the narrative is still there. She escaped. Bobby Bright. She crushed him. I mean, just absolutely crushed and decimated the hell out of Bobby Bright, and it was pretty bad. It was really, really bad. It was a big beatdown, and we saw a couple of big beatdowns, and I am literally impressed with the beatdown we saw there by Bobby Bright. You saw the same thing with Steve Marshall, Ainsworth. That race was a little closer, a little technical issue there with Cameron Smith. We're going to get him back where he needs to be. As we move forward, though, just keep this in mind. The election is just the first step here. And now it goes on to the general election. So it clearly is not over, as we all know. There's a lot more to be said about this. And now when Cameron Smith comes back on, here's the thing I want to talk to him about with that Bobby Bright thing. The Bobby Bright issue was, I'm going to be the guy who is going to argue that Martha Roby didn't support Trump enough. And he voted for Nancy Pelosi last time he was in Congress. Cameron, was Bobby Bright the worst possible GOP candidate for the people who wanted to punish Roby for not loving Trump enough? Was he the worst possible guy you could have with that banner?
Absolutely, because people are looking at him and being like, wait, he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
And I think that Roby, for her part, has stuck with her guns. She's worked with Trump. I think that they've certainly appeared to have mended some of those fences. This is the second time she's sort of weathered the storm, if you will. Had a run at her last go-round, another one here, and I think, frankly, people actually like her. Now, we always hear from the people that hate the politicians, but Roby's a pretty likable person, and I think that showed in the polls.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything on the Democratic side that is worth noting? I mean, we know it's going to be Ivey and Maddox. We know it's going to be Ainsworth and Boyd, and most people are saying, who the hell is Boyd, including members of the media. They have no idea who he is. Don Siegelman's kid will be running against Steve Marshall. No Democrat in the AG's race. I guess Ziegler is running against someone named Miranda Joseph. Wow, I'm impressed with myself for getting those four right. I'm sure there's a treasurer's race out there that I don't know anything about. But is there anything on the Democratic side that we learned yesterday? I know they didn't have any statewide races. Any favorable developments on the Republican side that make us believe there is a blue wave in Alabama?
No. I mean, I keep making this clear, yet apparently people are missing this. Alabama is a red state. It is not a purple state. It's not trending purple, the blue wave, all this other stuff. I've said all along, the candidate that I think on the Democratic side has the best chance is Maddox. Do I think Maddox is going to beat Kay Ivey? Absolutely not. But his chance is draw her out, point out the fact that, we need different direction, that she's not showing up, but she's not going to play the game. She's not going to play his game. She's going to shake hands, kiss babies, cut ribbons, and ride this thing, I suspect, to a win because, frankly, the Democrats in Alabama, even with Trump, even with everything that's going on, they're so disorganized and demoralized that every last one of them would have to turn out and some Republicans would have to vote for Maddox. And that is just a really tall order.
Yeah, this is not Doug Jones, Roy Moore 2.0. They're going to try to make that, but they also tried to make the Roby thing a thing, and we saw what happened there. So, if there are beatdowns happening like that, this is not a thing. I get it. The general election's a little bit different. When we come back, I want to talk with Cameron Smith about this latest Trump kerfuffle. My audience is mad at me, Cameron. I know you haven't been listening, but I refuse to allow people to call into my radio show today unless they apologize to me. They had to apologize and tell me that they were sorry. It was a group punishment, and some did, and I appreciate that for how they treated me. Because I said yesterday, Trump's going to come back today by 5 o'clock and embarrass all of you by backtracking in a really embarrassing way, and that's exactly what he did. We'll talk with Cameron about that here in a second. But first, let's talk about my friends at Madison RV. And I'll tell you about Madison RV. These are the guys you need to go see if you're looking for the ultimate family vacation. Now, they rent RVs at Madison RV. And that's a beautiful thing because you can get in an RV and go with your family and enjoy that ultimate family vacation, that road trip, camping, tailgating, whatever you want to do. And then you'll learn, I love RVs. So you get out there and you go see my friends at Madison RV, and then you realize you want an RV. Well, they also have great RVs for sale. And the beauty of that, they can put you in a perfect RV vehicle for you and your family for less than $200 a month. Less than $200 a month. For one of these recreational vehicles of your dreams. Fifth wheels and also motor coaches. They got it. They're ready for you. Go see my friends at Madison RV. Go see Rod. Go see Marty. Go see MadisonRV.com. And when you do, Dale Jackson sent you.
You're listening to The Dale Jackson Show.